Hello, welcome back to another live. If you're new here, my name is Laken and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to chat about goals, life, typically a topic, all kinds of things. I'm excited to chat with you today. I still want to figure out if I want like an intro before the lives. I know I mention her all the time, but I follow Sarah Cannon both on her Heart Breathings channel, which is her YouTube channel that's about planning and goals and those kinds of things. And then she also has her Sarah Cannon channel, which is her author channel. And she does a weekly live over there. And she not only does she does an intro that like is really cool that she created with like music and pictures and stuff. And then she also has like a starting soon little thing at the beginning. And I wonder what the point, like value of that is. I never am able to join her calls live, but I always watch the replay. And so when I'm watching the replay and that's at the beginning, I'm like, is there a purpose to that? I probably could just ask her and she would tell me. I feel like I bring this up all the time, but just something on my mind. Okay, let's start. What is one small win that you have from the last week? If you are here live, please say hello in the chat and let us know what your win is from the last week since we last chatted. And if you're part of replay fam, please say hello in the comments and let us know what your win is. While I wait for some of those to come in, I'm going to share mine with you, which is that I have refocused. Now that I'm looking at that, should that dash be there? I don't know. Or just one word, like refocused. Spelling, by the way, is definitely on not my strong suit list. But if you were here last week, I talked about how I kind of wanted to blow up my August goals. And really, there were a couple health things that I feel like had kind of fallen apart. And I wanted to focus on them. Well, I kind of had like a moment with myself and I looked at my August goals, which I'll check in with in a little bit. And I realized like they're not super time heavy. Like a lot of them are just like check-ins or things I was already doing. And so I was like, you could add things and they just won't be on your goals list. So I added some health related focuses that are things I've done before. None of it's brand new. It's different workout routines, drinking my water. And then the one that applies today is that this is actually not coffee. So I know that I started, I don't even know how many months ago with my Aura ring, which is like the ring that tracks my sleep. It tracks a lot of other things too, but I mostly use it for tracking sleep. That if my sleep score was above a certain number, I wouldn't have a second cup of coffee. And there were also some other health benefits of things that I wanted to cut back a little bit on coffee. I still have a cup of coffee in the morning, but I'm really trying in general just to not have a second cup. But one of the things that I did to help me with that is I went and bought some iced tea. So if I want a second cup of something fun, I can have a cup of it's like green tea from Trader Joe's. It's like pre-made in like a glass bottle from Trader Joe's. And I think it's made I think I've had like 5. And now I probably need to go buy more. So that has been like my afternoon / my late morning second drink. The other thing I've been doing related to that is I have to finish a whole thing of water before I can have a fun drink of any kind. So like my first jug of water, which I put these big, oh no, it closes now. I put these big giant ice cubes in it and it wasn't closing. So when I finish my first one, which I've already done, I get to have my second, whatever. When I can't fill this up with more tea. I can't have any kind of alcoholic beverage. I can't have any fun drink without finishing one of these. So that is those are the little things I've been doing. And that's definitely my win for the week. All right, let's see what yours are. Hosted friends for a summer party. That is so fun. I don't have a particular win, but I have been able to check off a lot of small things. That adds up. Did your weekly reset routine. Finishing the book that you've been writing. River J, that is so exciting. I'm so excited for you. Oh, I love hearing about your wins. Okay, let's move into my reading check-in. So I have made some progress on reading. Last week, I know I mentioned that I had read nothing and I was blaming the Olympics for that. My reading progress is still slow, but I have made some. Unfortunately, my nonfiction audiobook that I was listening to by Michelle Obama, the library took it back. My lease? That's what it's called? I don't know. The time that they let you have it was over. And so they took it back. I placed another hold. But the good news is that that one went back to the library. Another one that I had put on hold became available. So my new audiobook that I'm listening to, nonfiction, which I'm still making very slow progress because I am trying to play catch up on my podcast and YouTube videos that I didn't watch because I was watching the Olympics. Like I was spending all my extra time watching the Olympics. So I got behind on those. But I did start this book, and it's Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew. If you have not heard of Emmanuel Acho, first off, he went to the University of Texas. He played football at Texas, and he played in the NFL. He started a series of videos in 2020 called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. The videos that he made are absolutely fantastic. And then he turned them into a book. So his first book, which is, it's orange. So where are the orange books? It's over there in the orange book section. That's called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. Highly recommend. 5 stars. Great. This was a new book that he co-wrote with a Jewish author named Noah. And like I said, I'm very only a little bit into it, but I actually got it for Sam as a gift for Father's Day, and he read it, the hard copy, over our vacation, and he said it was fantastic. And if you didn't know, my husband Sam is Jewish, and so he was like, I think a lot of people, if not everybody, but there were a lot of people in his life specifically that he wanted to recommend it to, should read this. And so I immediately put on hold at the library, and now it's mine, and I am enjoying it so far. I mean, I love listening to Emmanuel Acho's voice when he reads. It's just fantastic. And so I'm excited to get into that book a little bit more. Have made a little bit, but not much progress on my nonfiction hard copy. I still have not figured out a good spot to put this in, which is ironic because we're talking about my routines today, and I'm going to share my exact routines. And I guess there's a couple places it could fit, but I don't have a good rhythm yet of reading nonfiction hard copy yet. My fiction book, I have made a good amount of progress on. It may not look like it, but this book is freaking huge. So progress is progress. But this is the third book of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm finally excited about it and into it. And I have let go, you'll notice, of the audio portion. I decided I don't need to listen to it anymore. And as I'm trying to spend less time on my phone, not having to have my phone and the Audible app open when I'm listening or wanting to read fiction is really helping me read fiction. Also, just having my Kindle be the thing for fiction. I think listening to the audio version was necessary to get through book 1. I needed the audio version for book 1. I don't need it anymore. So I have reverted to just reading. Okay, monthly goal check-in. Let's look at my goals for the month. These are my August goals. So the video from Monday was me deep diving into all of these steps. So I'm not going to deep dive into them today. I'm just going to talk about the progress that I've made and the check marks that are there. So in terms of the one-time steps, I haven't done any of them. I have scheduled time. And even though I technically started my goals last week, as you can see, my daily goals and my weekly goals, I started last week. I didn't do any of my one-time steps over the weekend last weekend. I kind of just, first off, we had a lot going on last weekend. But I also just kind of used it to get ready for the month. And so I'm really going to start some of my one-time steps this upcoming weekend, but I have scheduled time for all but one of them because scheduling the making of the cookies goes with the planning of the cookies, if that makes sense. Weekly tasks have been going well so far. So far, so good. Daily tasks are kind of hit or miss. Piano took me a little bit more time to get into. I think I was just making it a bigger thing in my head. It's just so funny because last month it was a weekly task that I was doing almost daily, even though it wasn't daily. And so then I made it daily and all of a sudden it got hard. That just feels so backwards. But I finally got back into it yesterday and I've done it already today. And I just took this picture before I did it and checked it off. Everything else is going pretty well so far. So far, so good. Not all the check marks, but it's never all the check marks, is it? So that is my goal progress. All right. Any other questions, comments, things before we move into the topic of the week? I do really like this iced green tea from Trader Joe's. It's good. I also bought from Trader Joe's, but I haven't tried it yet. They have a black tea concentrate. So just like I use the cold brew concentrate and you mix in water with the concentrate to water it down, they have a black tea version of it that I bought that I haven't tried yet. But I killed the green tea bottle when I made this, so I probably will try that tomorrow. All right, let's talk. We're going to do one more week on routines. The last 4 lives have all been about routines, but the routine lives in July were all very how-to, right? It was very tips and tricks and suggestions and the how-to portion of routines. This week, we're just talking about my routines. This is not going to be like, you should do this, or here's how to do this. Like, it's going to be none of that. It's going to be just these are my routines and how I do them and how I think about them. And this is meant to give you some ideas, some inspiration, some things to think about. This is not at all, I feel like I say this every time I talk about my routines. I am not sitting here telling you you have to do these routines, or this is what your routine should like to be a successful whatever. Like, no. These are mine based on my life and my goals and all the things. So first things first, before we jump into the actual routines, I have to tell you about the app that I use, which some of you are probably like, I've heard you mention this 8 million times. It is called Routinery. And I started using an app for my routines back in the summer of 2020. And the first one I used was not this one. It was a different one. And I started it because I saw somebody on Instagram post about it. And I was like, that sounds like fun. And I really started getting serious about my morning routine in 2020. I started it in January. So by the time we hit summer, I had added a handful of steps. It was getting pretty detailed. But I also had a lot more time because I was working from home. And so I was like, I'm going to use this app to track and like time my routines basically. And then the community discovered, well, that was also the summer that the community launched. I just missed, I'm talking and I just realized that I just missed the community anniversary. It's August 1st. Fail. Okay, whatever. Oh, well, happy anniversary to the Goals with Laken community. The community was talking about the app. This was later in 2020. And the original app I was using did not have an Android version. So our Android friends went on the hunt for an equivalent. And this is the one that they found. And somebody talked about it on the live or one of our Zoom calls. And I was like, I need that version. I need that one. So I switched to Routinery and I haven't looked back. So I've been using this app for almost 4 years. I do pay for the premium version. I think the only thing that you get with the premium version is more than 2 routines. So don't immediately jump into paying for it. But I also think it's like $20 for the year. I would gladly pay that just to have it. Like, it makes that big of a difference in my life. So why do I like having my routine in an app? Number one, I like it helps me not forget steps. Like, there are some steps in my routine that would just happen without me looking at the app. And sometimes that's what I do. And I'll talk about that when I actually show you my screenshots. Sometimes I just do the step and then I use the app to like check it off. But sometimes it's actually reminding me like, no, you wanted to do this step, like go do the step. And it reminds me to do it. And it's like it's a reminder for me. I also like the timing aspect of it. You put in how long you either expect to spend or want to spend on a given task. And at the bottom, it tells you when you're going to be done with your whole routine. Now, for things like my evening routine, that doesn't really matter because I'm just going to do it until it's done. In the morning, in different phases of my life, I've had a cutoff where I want to be done with the routine by a certain time. When I was going, did I ever use this when I was going into the office? I guess I did when I went back in like 2022. Is that right? Was it summer of 22 that I started going back to the office, or 21? No, I'm 22. Whatever. If you want an exact time that you're going to be done with the routine, it shows that at the bottom and you can see that estimate. And that way you can stay on pace. And I do use that feature now, and I'll talk about that in a second. I like that I can easily make adjustments to my routine without having to like rewrite a whole thing, right? If I was to write out my entire routine by hand, I change my routine at least weekly. At least weekly, there is something about it. I'm changing the length of time for something. I'm adding a small step. I'm taking a small step out. Charlie has decided that she needs to come in here. I think I've talked about this in the blog. My office door doesn't fully close. Hey, kitty. Come on. Hang on. Okay. Apologies for that. So, what what was I saying? Oh, I can easily move steps around, change the order, whatever, with digitally, and it just saves me so much time. Lots of other praise for Routinery. Love the app. Routinery is a lifesaver for me. Starting it, using it last summer. It's a game changer to have the set task list with the time limit pressure without a million to-dos. 100%. So if you are somebody who feels too much pressure by the time, my suggestions in the past have been to either make them all 1 minute, and so it doesn't matter, or make them all like an hour, and you're not going to spend an hour, and so you're never going to see that time go away. To be honest, I don't look at that all that much. Most of my tasks now are not like, okay, it's time to move on. It's like, that's how long it's going to take me, or something else is going to push me to the next step. So let me share my routines with you. So there we go. Okay. So this is a screenshot of what it actually looks like in the app. I took a screenshot this morning before I started my morning routine, and I've chopped it up. This is like one of like 5 or 6 slides for my morning routine. You will see that my morning routine is 4 hours and 30 minutes. That is a long time. I understand that. This routine is, for me, I have it planned from the time that I wake up and start my day until my daughter goes down for her first nap. These are all the things that I do and the things that we do together. So that is why it is so long, because those are all the things. Now, is it always perfectly 4 hours and 30 minutes? Not even close. Depending on what time I wake up, depending on what time she wakes up, depending how long some tasks take us. Are we actually going to run an errand? Are we just going for a walk? Like, there are so many things that impact whether it takes like how the amount of time. But in a perfect world, and I'm putting that in quotes because it's never perfect, this is how long it would take. I would get up at the time I get up. We would do all these steps. They would take this exact amount of time, and then she would go down for her nap in exactly 4 hours and 30 minutes. That is what it is set up for. The other thing is you can set a time that the routine is to start, and you can put an actual time of day. But one of the things that they have changed is putting a trigger or a domino. That's not. I apologize. You can hear. I don't know what is going on in our alley. That's not necessarily a time of day. So even though my goal is to wake up now at a certain time each day, I just have when I wake up. I don't need it to tell me to start at a certain time. Whenever I wake up, I press play on this routine, and that is what I start with. So the first step is I get out of my pajamas and I put on some workout clothes. I also go to the bathroom typically at some point in this beginning. I do a little bit of skincare. I check the allergies for today. I got allergy tested. I don't know if I ever talked about this in a video. 5 months ago. And I have a lot of allergies. Not enough to necessarily warrant taking meds every single day. So I check on the apps, and then I take meds accordingly based on what the apps say. And then if I'm throwing laundry in, I get that laundry in first thing in the morning and get that going. Then I move into the kitchen. I put my Oura Ring on its charger. I take my vitamins, make my coffee, wash the bottles from that soaked overnight, and then feed Charlie, and then take my ring off the charger. And I've said before, if I can get through those steps before Lila wakes up, that I feel good about that. But I've been on a good, going to bed early and getting up before her, and she's been on a good rhythm. And so I've been able to get some other stuff done before she wakes up. So next step is I plan for the day, and then I post a picture of that planner page into the community Facebook group. Then I check in with my goals. I update my goal planner, and then any other things that I'm tracking at the time. And then I get to work. I have it set here as an hour. If all the stars align and I get out of bed right away and she has a good night's sleep, sometimes I have almost an hour. That's rare. It's not always an hour, but I have it built in as an hour. I usually have some amount of time to get some sort of work done. The laundry switch is one of those ones that I just give myself a check mark for. So whenever the timer goes off. So I think I've mentioned this before, we don't have laundry in our building or in our unit. It's in our building. And so when I go put it in the washer, however many steps ago, I set the timer for when it's going to be done. It's usually when I'm in the middle of working, the timer goes off. So I'll go switch it. And so then when I'm done working, I just get to check off that I switched the laundry. Then at this point, I pause it, and Lila is typically, I will pause it when Lila wakes up. like when she wakes up, and then I click pause right here. I check off switching the laundry, and then I click pause. And then I deal with her. And I don't have that in here in my routine app. But we do. That's actually not true. I have it in there. I just don't have it on the screenshot right now. Like Lila time. I wake up, all the things that you do when a baby first wakes up in the morning. Then at this point, Sam is also usually awake. So the next steps is we will make the bed, and then I will do a handful of other tasks here in my office. If Sam is awake and not jumping right into a call, sometimes he will play with her while I do these handful of things. Sometimes she plays in here by herself while I do these things. Sometimes, frankly, I don't get to do these things, and we just have to move on. And that is another feature of Routinery that I really love, is that I can use it and bump it to the end. So if she's not in a place, or Sam's not in a place where I can do these things right in this moment in my routine, I bump them to the end, and that's fine. Then we move into the living room. I open up the windows, the blinds, so we get some natural light. I do a quick tidy of the living room from the night before, fold the blankets, put the pillows back, just make the living room look presentable. And then I try to get a workout in. Again, this is all, I do have a small child, and at this point she's awake. So this is all also pending on how she's doing. And if she is in a good mood, and we'll play while I get a workout in. And then this is when I try to squeeze in my piano as well. And she usually sits on my lap for that. Then we move into the kitchen and we have breakfast. I'll make breakfast for both of us, and we'll both have breakfast. After breakfast, I try to get us outside, either just for a walk, or typically if we have errands to run, this is when we'll run errands. And then I get her down for her nap. I know that's a lot. Like, that's my morning routine. And there's steps that sometimes take more time. Sometimes they take less time. If we're running really behind, like, I can cut the entire get outside, right? Like, I don't need to do that. If we are running ahead, I'll spend more time making breakfast, and maybe I'll prep something for dinner, and she'll just hang out in her high chair, or maybe I'll spend more time outside and we'll go for a longer walk. I have these times set so that they make sense, but there is always room for flexibility. All right. Oh, I forgot to pop this up before I started this. Things to know about my morning routine. I am a morning person. I have a lot of energy in the morning. I like getting up early, and I have been working on this routine for years. I've been adding things to this routine for years. So do not feel like if you don't have a paid morning routine, like you're a failure. Okay, the next app that I have in my Routinery app, I'm not going to show you because it's very specific to my business, is my communication routine. And I've talked about this before. This stemmed from years ago when I was still working my corporate job in the office. Like, I remember starting this while I was still in the office. So it was a long time ago, where I would open up Instagram or Facebook to scroll for fun. And I would feel obligated to respond to Instagram DMs, YouTube comments, Facebook comments in the moment. Like, somebody sent me a DM, I need to respond right then. And that was A, not a great use of my time, and B, I was responding quickly and not as thoughtfully. So what I decided to do was create a routine that was, I would typically do it as soon as I was done with my corporate job. So at 5 p.m., I would do my communication routine where I would go through and respond to Instagram comments and DMs, Facebook comments, YouTube comments, and now text messages from the community. This is still a routine that I do. Now, the good news is I work for myself, so I don't have to wait till 5 p.m. I do it at some point in my day, and it's about an hour in the app. It doesn't always take me an hour. It very much depends on how many messages and comments there are, but that is what it is scheduled for. It also includes posting on Instagram, etc. It also includes responding to things on the podcast, Instagram, and YouTube channel, but that is another routine I have in my Routinery app. The last routine I have in my Routinery app is my PM routine. So let's pop this up. So my PM routine, the toggle or domino is when Lila goes to bed. I don't wait until a certain time of day or a certain time on the clock. I don't wait until I'm ready to get in bed. It is when she goes to bed, I do this routine. That is how this works. That way, if I want to stay up, great. If I'm ready to go to bed, I'm ready to go to bed. So the first thing is I close the windows on the in the living room. I get the bottle soaking. You'll see there's a lot of connections, like things that happened the night before that then connect to the next morning. do a quick tidy, wipe down at the kitchen, feed Charlie, fill up my water bottle, and then put the laundry out. You'll notice that I do the laundry typically before everyone else is awake in the house. So I will get Lila's hamper if it needs to be washed, Sam's hamper or my hamper, whoever's laundry is getting done, that hamper will get put out the night before. Then I've been trying to light a candle in the bedroom before I go in there. I just feel like it makes it cozy. So I try to light it before I go finish getting ready for bed. So it has time to make the room smell good. Put my workout clothes out for the next day. Then I will shower and or wash my face. If I feel like I need a shower, if I feel gross, I'll hop in the shower. Otherwise, I just wash my face, floss, brush my teeth, skincare, take my CBD nighttime gummy. I've moved my gratitude to nighttime. It sits on my nightstand now. So at this point, I've moved back into the bedroom. I should have chunked that out. This first part was obviously the bathroom. Then I move back into the bedroom, take my gummy, do my gratitude. Then I do a quick plan on my phone. Basically, all I do is I send myself a text message of anything. It's kind of almost a brain dump, like anything in my head that I know I want to do tomorrow or get on my planner somewhere. I don't want to go back into my office, but I'll just do a quick dump on my phone. I go through photos again. I would give myself 5 minutes to scroll on Instagram. This is like the one step that when it tells me to move on, it's time to move on. And it's not just built in. Then I've been trying to be good about putting on hand lotion and cuticle oil. So I have that. And then my app tells me to go to bed. Now on weeknights, I do typically go to bed as soon as this is over. That doesn't always happen on weekends or if there's something else going on. If it was Sunday, House of Dragon is over now. But if it wasn't, I would try to do all of this. That's not true. There's no way I was getting through all this between the time she goes to bed and we started it. But I would do some of it and then call it a day. So that is my PM routine. Not in the app, a routine that I do is my weekly and monthly recurring tasks. I don't have them in the Routinary app. I did a whole live specifically on this topic that I will relink if you did not catch that or you want to watch it again. I talked about my whole system when it comes to monthly and weekly recurring tasks. I have added some things or moved some things since I did that live. I showed my lists on that live and those lists have changed, but the concept and the way that I do it is all still the same. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, that's it. Those are my routines. I say that's it. I know that was a lot. And I'm surprised I talked for that long. But those are the routines that anchor my life. There are 2 routines that I'm considering adding. One is an end of workday routine. I used to have a routine that was my transition from corporate to working for myself. And then once I started working for myself, I never really did this. And I feel like I want it, but my work schedule is always so all over the place that I'm is that really useful for me? I don't know. This is something I'm considering. And when I say considering, routines I'm considering adding, I mean in 2025. It's not happening in 24, but it's something that I'm thinking about. The other one I'm thinking about, which was ironic because somebody shared that as their win for the week, is a weekly reset. Now, some of the things that would be considered a weekly reset, I do already, right? I plan my week, a meal plan, etc. But I'm thinking about grouping it all together. I don't know. My other struggle with something like this is a lot of people typically do something like this on Sundays. And I have told you before that I don't like being committed to doing things on a certain weekend day. The weekends are go with the flow over here. And I don't typically plan to do things on certain days, but it wouldn't have to be tied to a day. It could just be the steps that I do to prepare for the week, which I kind of already do. I need to think more about what that one would look like. So also not something I'm adding anytime soon. So that is it that I have prepared for routines. Quick sneak peek, the rest of the month, the 3 remaining lives in August are all about accountability. So subscribe, join live, or plan to catch the replay if you're interested in that topic. All right. That is it. That is all I have. I know I just talked for a really long time. It is your time for Q&A. You are welcome to ask me anything. It could be about what we just talked about. If you have any follow-up questions, it doesn't have to be. It can be about literally anything. It could be about your individual goals or struggles. I promise, even if you feel like it is really specific to your life, somebody will benefit from the question. It could be about a specific topic that you want us to chat about instead of a question, or just whatever is on your mind, whatever you want to chat about. I've seen some people do a weekly reset midweek on a Wednesday. I kind of like that idea. I do my weekly reset on Monday. Yeah, that's another thing I thought about too, was like doing it on a Monday, like Monday morning. But that's like my really good work time. Like I'm really energized and motivated to get a lot of work done on Monday mornings. So I really want to spend it on like that kind of stuff. I don't know. But you're right. It doesn't have to be Sundays at all, or even like Fridays. But then there's some steps that I was thinking that would be a part of it, like cleaning my desk. It feels like a good weekly reset for me. But last night, I just realized that cleaning my desk was a great step for me to do during the coaching call working time. So I did that, and the timing was flawless. And so that's what I'm going to do going forward. I like having the fresh start before Monday morning, but our weekends are usually so busy. So I thought about maybe doing them Monday mornings. Yeah. Well, exactly. And our weekends are the same, and they're not always the same. Like our weekends always look and feel so different. So I don't know. Like I already try not to have things for the weekend, like task type things. I try to get them all done by the end of day Friday. So the weekend can just be, it's either we're doing things as a family or I'm resting. That's what I'm trying to make the weekends. I know that is not feasible for everybody. But that for me, that has been my dream, is that I get all of my work and household tasks done during the weekdays so that Saturday and Sunday are either social commitments or rest. We'll see. I feel like I've said that for months and months. And then every weekend rolls around and Lila goes down for her nap. And I'm like, okay, I need to do this and this and this. And I list all these things I need to do. I'm like, this is not what I'm working towards. It's not what I'm working towards. I tried doing them Fridays, but I usually don't want to work on Fridays, but it's not as practical for me for some reason. Yeah. I feel that way about Fridays too. I don't mind doing household things on Fridays, but not work stuff on Fridays is my goal. We'll see. I also feel like, y'all, so much of this changes so often, right? Like I will make decisions, and then something about our lives will change. Like football's going to start. And that is going to impact, like that may be silly. And some of you may be like, I cannot believe you are just saying football's going to impact your life, but like it is, because we love football. And so like Monday nights and Thursday nights, and like I want to watch football. And oh God, last fall was so lovely where I got to just like watch football and have like newborn snuggles. But yeah. And then it's the holidays and there's those things going on. And then it's like, there's just one thing after another. And so it's never going to be consistent. And we all just have to be okay with it. I'm like talking to myself at this point, but all right. What is on your mind? What questions do you have? It doesn't have to need to be about me and my weekly reset brainstorm. What's on your mind? What questions do you have? What are you struggling with? How are you feeling about your goals? It's August 7th. There's still so much of 24 left, but I also understand that August like bleeds into, I know some of you have kids that have already gone back to school. That's bonkers to me. But or you yourself as an educator or somebody who works in education or supports education have already gone back to school, also bonkers. And so then it just like leads into the fall, which then leads into the holidays, which then immediately we're like, okay, it's 2025. And it's like, it's not, when we still have so much time left. In fact, I just started writing down and brainstorming for the last 100 days. I did not do it last year because it kicked off the last 100 days, which, by the way, the fact that I have to math this every year where I have to like pull out a calculator as a math major, that like makes my heart sad. It's September 23rd is the first day of there will be 100 days left in the year, starting with counting September 23rd. And Lila's due date was September 22nd. So there was like it wasn't going to happen last year. Basically, I was either going to be in like the very end of my pregnancy or like have a tiny baby. I wasn't going to have time to promote it and support you and all the things. We're going to do it this year and I'm very excited about it. Okay. I have my life divided into 3 categories: home, health, and hobbies. So I have 3 main routines of a few sub routines, but I think of the 3 main ones is my foundation. I love that. And football fit my schedule. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. Do you think routines and habits are the same thing? No. Routines are groups of habits. A routine is we talked about this week 1 when we did routines 101. We talked about the definition of routines, and the definition is a number of steps repeated consistently. And that is, I know that sounds like a habit, but to me, and this is just my experience and opinion, a routine is a lot of steps. So a thing that you're doing more than one step builds up a routine. The habits are those pieces, those components of a routine. So I can have a habit of taking my vitamins every day. That is part of my morning routine. But if I don't do my morning routine, that habit still happens. I still take my vitamins every day. Feeding Charlie happens every day, right? Regardless of whether or not I do my routine. So to me, those are the habits. The steps within my routine, some of them are habits. Some of them are just steps that are part of my season of life right now. Some of them are goal steps that I'm working towards, like going through my photos. They're not, I think there could be some crossover, but I think if you think of it as a habit, if you think of a routine as a habit, you're going to feel bad if you don't do it every day or you skip steps, etc. All the things we talked about last week in terms of following through on your routines. Those are just my thoughts. I feel like I have talked about this before with some more like thought behind it, but I don't remember where it was. I also want to say you can think about things however you want to think about them. A lot of times it comes down to semantics, and we can look at the definitions all we want of things. Like whatever word or phrase works in your head and feels good to you, use those words. And whatever words don't feel good to you, don't use those words. And I understand that I use a lot of words in certain ways. And like society uses words in certain ways that may or may not be directly correlated with their definitions. And you have to think about what is your goal? What is your ultimate end state that you're working towards? And how can these things help you get there? And it honestly doesn't almost matter what you call them, right? Like on my goal planner, it says, oh, I was about to like pull off my actual sheet and show it to you, but it's right here. Right. I call it daily steps. This could be habits. This could be, daily things. Like there's so many words we could use here and it all could mean the same thing. And I'm trying more and more not to get caught up in like, what are we calling things and what word are we using here? Because everybody interprets words differently based on their own experiences, truthfully. What else? What else is on your mind? What other questions do you have? What are you struggling with that you need some support? Do you need a pep talk? Do you need help breaking something down? Anybody? I'm here for the next 20 minutes if you have any questions, but also I'm happy to go do some other work. I had a conversation with a business coach this morning that got me really pumped about some things that I'm going to do behind the scenes that I know that's so vague. I'm sorry. But I was really motivated and like typed up a whole page of ideas of things, and I could definitely just go execute on those. Take the 20 minutes and go execute. But I'm here if you have any questions or you need anything or you want me to dig into something a little bit deeper. I hope that sharing my routines helped in some capacity. But I understand it could also be overwhelming. I've been building up my routines for years and years and years. I've been working on them for so long that to me, it just like, I can't even remember the day that it was like one step. So don't feel bad if you don't have a routine. That it's not necessary. Go back to that first week. Week 1 of routines. We talked about routines and goals. And I said in that video, you do not need routines. You just don't. It can be helpful if you like them, but if you don't, great. You don't need them. I'm a morning person. Oh, why is it not popping up? There it is. Okay. I'm a morning person and struggling with doing some things in the afternoon. My routine had to change when my 77-year-old mom moved in with us. That is tough. And I also felt like that a similar thing where I had to move some stuff to different times of days when I had a little tiny baby and I was not getting good nights of sleep. And so I needed to do things in different times of the day. So a couple of thoughts. Number 1 is in this season for now where you're at. And I know sometimes you're like, well, I want to pick something that's going to work for a long time. Sometimes we can't just pick things that are going to work for a long time. Sometimes we have to focus on like what will work right now. Are there some things that you might just let go of, right? These things that you're moving to the afternoon, like, could you just temporarily let go of them? Could you shrink them down a little bit, like make them a little bit smaller and less overwhelming? Because I also understand that as a morning person, by the time we get to the afternoon, like my energy does not exist. Also reminding yourself that if it is something that you have to do and it has to be done in the afternoon, done is better than perfect. And it may not be your best work because it's not your best time of day. And save your best time of day, anything that you can get done in the morning for the morning, and everything else move to the afternoon. I had to accept this with housework. I used to try to do housework in the morning. I was like, I'll do that first thing in the morning. I am not giving dusting the apartment my best self. Sorry. Like, first off, it's just not that deep. Like, I am better off spending if I have 30 minutes before Lila wakes up in the morning, it is a much better support of our family that I use that 30 minutes to get work done than to effectively dust the shelves in the living room. Like, you know what I mean? And so don't feel bad that some things might get a lesser version of you, a lower energy version of you. You can still do them. It just might not be as good. It might not be up to your standards or what you used to do in the morning, and that's okay. It's not, it's still getting done. I had something else. I had another suggestion and then I lost it. I don't know what it was. It may also take a little bit of trial and error for you, like to figure out what is the best things to do, what time of day. Maybe there's something that excites you later in the day that gives you a little bit of a second wind. Maybe you could bribe yourself like, oh, I do these handful of things and then I get to sit and read a book, or I do these handful of things and I get to watch a new episode of whatever TV show, and kind of inspire you to get those things done and check them off so that then you get to rest. That's the other thing I did with house stuff in the afternoon is on Mondays, I'm trying to work during her afternoon nap. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I talk about this in an upcoming plan with me, but sneak peek. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, my goal is to, when she goes down for her afternoon nap, I do a household thing, some sort of cleaning, something or other. And then when I finish that, I get to rest. And that is like, whatever that means, whether that's a bath, playing the piano, reading my book, watching TV, scrolling Instagram, whatever it is, it's rest. And that is, I just started that this week. So I don't really have any like groundbreaking ideas or information for you, but I will say that I already feel excited to like get my work done earlier in the day, knowing that when she goes down for her nap, I'm not like still trying to work, if that makes sense. I know that's not exactly related to what you said, but just something to think about. I also just have something I have to do. And so I'm just going to go ahead and write it down if you don't mind, so I don't forget, because things leave my brain so quickly these days that if I don't put it down, I will not do it. All right. Hopefully that was helpful, Sarah. Anything else on your mind? Any other questions that you have? Everybody's all ready to go? Anybody have little ones already back in school? Or you're back in school yourself? Or you have a spouse in education maybe that's already back in school? They're not back in school yet here, I don't think. I'm pretty sure they're not. I think somebody said also they're going back a week later because the Democratic National Convention is here in Chicago the week of August 19th. So I think they're not going back until that next week because of that. Where did I hear that? I don't remember. I'm already kind of dreading like the change to security and all the stuff that's going to happen in our city that week. All the people that are going to be here, all the very important people that are going to be here that have to be protected. Whew. Not yet, but only 2 weeks away and you'll have a middle schooler. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. My daughter started on the 1st. That, Monica, you were one of the people I was thinking of that I knew your little one had already started. Just bonkers. The 1st, like, I understand. I don't know. When does she get out of school on the other end? Just mind blowing to me. Like August 1st feels like it should still be so much of summer and not school. Oh, I remember how much fun you had with the dance group in New York City. Have you been able to do any more than the one dance class in Chicago that you shared? So I did go to a second one. I can't remember if I shared that or not. Or I think the one I shared was the second one. I've been to 2. I went to one hip hop and I went to one jazz. I know I've said this before. There is nothing like the dance group in New York City where they perform that doesn't exist here. I've looked and looked and looked and looked, and it doesn't exist here. And that's okay, because committing to something on that long term is a lot. Like that's a lot. I haven't gone back and taken any other classes, mostly because their options for adult classes in the summer is very limited. The place that I went, they trimmed down their offerings in the summer, which I'm sure is related to demand, right? People aren't as apt to go to a dance class from 6 to 7 in the summer when it's beautiful outside and they want to go sit outside and have dinner, or on the weekends when they're traveling, right? So there just aren't that many choices. And so it just hasn't really worked with our schedule. I'm hoping that once the fall starts and they release their fall schedule, it will be more apt. I also could look into other studios, but I know I've said this before. We don't have a car, and I can take public transit or I can take an Uber, that's not the issue. It just adds more time. Whereas this other place is within walking distance of our apartment. And so it makes the total time that I'm out of the house a lot shorter, which makes things a lot simpler. So for now, I'm probably just going to stick with this one place, but I haven't been able to go. I would love to, when like the fall starts, if like there is a weekday class that I could consistently take every week, and like so I could get to the teacher and the style and my body could feel good in it, that would be ideal. But who knows? They don't start any earlier here because our county fair ends a Sunday before school starts. Oh my gosh. She gets out the Friday before Memorial Day. So that's like 2 months of summer. That just feels so short to me. My son does online classes. They run from Labor Day to Memorial Day. Right. So you have a full 3-month summer. Like that makes sense to me. Like I know college typically goes back in the middle of August, but we would get out in like the beginning or the middle of May. We always just had a full 3-month summer, I guess, in my head is what makes sense to me. And August 1st does not lend itself to a 3-month summer unless she's getting out May 1st, which she's not. Which is crazy. Alrighty. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? Going once. I grew up in Buffalo. We started after Labor Day and ended at the end of June. Yeah, you know what? That's my aunt teaches in outside of Rochester, and that's how hers is too. And I guess that is also only 2 months. It's July and August. Maybe like 2.5 months because it's like a little bit into September. And then like you get that last week of June and then like the first week of September. I feel bad for the teachers since they have like 6 weeks. Yeah, that is, that's not enough time. Lots of snow and weather makeup days. That's also a good point, depending on what part of the country you live in. Although it feels like every part of the country is dealing with some sort of weather issue right now. Except us. My brother always talks about that, how the suburbs will sometimes have tornado struggles. But the city of Chicago, like we typically don't have any, like even New York would get, I mean, a handful of times, obviously a direct hurricane. Sandy happened to be right when I didn't live in New York. I was an intern that summer. And then that fall, I was back at school. And then I graduated early that December. And that's the fall that Sandy hit New York. But New York would still get like reminiscence of hurricanes. But Chicago like doesn't get any natural weather issues. I mean, snow, I guess, and cold, but I don't know. Oh, I feel like we're so off topic at this point. Okay, I'm going to ask you my last question. If you have anything else you want to pop up, feel free. But I want you to start thinking about what is the one thing that you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals. What is the one step that you're going to finish or do or start or whatever it is to make progress? I use the word finish because my one thing is to finish planning Lila's party. I didn't finish. It was on my July action steps. I did not finish it. I had planned to finish it, so I didn't put it on August, and it's still not done. So I'm going to finish that this week, and that's going to be my one thing that I prioritize this weekend. What is the one step? If you're here live, I want you to share in the chat what your one step is going to be this week to make progress on your goals. And if you are part of the replay fam and you're still here, thank you. Please leave in the comments. What's the one step you're going to take to make progress on your goals? Come on. I'm hoping that y'all are just busy typing them and haven't clicked enter yet. Or YouTube is giving me a little bit of a delay. Come on, YouTube. There we go. We find out the gender this week, so you can start planning the nursery. That is so exciting. You're going to repot 15 plants. Holy moly, that's awesome. Block time on your calendar daily for job search related stuff. There will never be time. I just have to do it. Yes, Raina, the small steps. Like I know it's one of those, this is probably one of those steps that you wish you could just block off like hours and hours to work on. And unfortunately, you're never going to find hours and hours. And so small, like focus on even like the 5-10 minutes that you can work on it. Taking donations, recycling, clear off your dresser. I feel that our bedroom has become like the dumping ground. If you've ever heard the lazy genius talk about one sane space. So like when you're feeling overwhelmed with like the clutter or the mess or whatever it is in your living space, to have one space that always gets focused on tidy, clean, whatever, so that you're not overwhelmed. We're not in that bad of a situation. It's almost just the opposite. So like everywhere else is clean and tidy and organized and not cluttered and all the things, except the bedroom. Everything keeps getting dumped in the bedroom. And the bedroom is just like there's like 800 baby things that either need to go to storage, or at this point, I'm just like, just leave them there. It's bad. Make a list of theaters with audio described performances to add to your fall winter schedule. I love that step. Play piano more days than not. I love the phrasing of that. All right, y'all. This has been awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me and letting me ramble about my routines today. If you liked this video, if you wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. We're going to talk about accountability for the rest of August. Oh, there's no alliteration there. Accountability in August. And I will see all of you next week. Bye.